There was once a man in a small town, a man who lived a very simple life. He worked quietly, spoke little, and never tried to prove himself to anyone. But there was one thing about him that everyone noticed. He always carried a single old iron key in his pocket. No matter where he went, no matter what day it was, the key was always with him. People would often ask him the same question: "What does that key open? Why do you carry it all the time?" And every single time, he gave the same answer. He would smile softly and say, "One day, you'll understand. When the right time comes, the key will matter." Asterisk at first, people thought it was just a habit, maybe something sentimental. But as the years passed, the curiosity only grew. Some laughed at him, whispering behind his back that he was a fool holding onto a useless piece of metal. Others thought he was hiding some secret treasure, a locked chest buried somewhere. And children, whenever they saw him, would run up and tug at his sleeve, asking to see the key. He never refused. He would show it to them, let them hold it, and then gently slip it back into his pocket. But he never explained. He never told the story. He only said the same words again and again. Every key has its door, and every door has its time. Asterisk, the man grew older. His hair turned white, his back bent with age, but the key never left him. People almost forgot about it. They stopped asking questions. To them, he was just the old man with his strange obsession. A few felt pity, thinking he was stuck in the past, holding on to something that no longer existed. To others, he was simply the town's harmless, eccentric, but nobody expected that one day, that very key would become the reason they all survived. Asterisk, it happened on a stormy night. The sky turned black earlier than usual, and heavy clouds rolled over the small town. Rain began to pour down with fury, the kind of rain that doesn't stop, the kind of rain that makes people nervous. The wind howled like it carried a warning. And then, in the middle of the night, lightning struck. Power lines snapped, plunging the entire town into darkness. Fear spread quickly. Families huddled together, searching for candles and lanterns, trying to comfort their children as the storm only grew worse. The wind ripped through roofs. The streets flooded, and people knew they had to find shelter. Fast. Asterisk. In the center of town stood an old building, a large stone structure that had once been used as a community hall. It was the safest place, built strong enough to withstand almost anything. People rushed there through the rain, desperate to get inside. They gathered at the massive wooden gate, shivering and soaked, their voices panicked. But when they tried to push the door open, it didn't move. Someone pulled, someone pushed, but it was locked tight. The crowd grew frantic. Mothers clutched their children, old people leaned on each other, and everyone's eyes filled with fear. The storm was getting worse by the second, and the only safe place they had found was sealed shut. Asterisk, and then, slowly, through the chaos and the wind, came the sound of footsteps. The old man appeared, his clothes drenched, his face calm but determined. People stared at him, confused. What could he possibly do? But without saying a word, he reached into his pocket and pulled out the very same key he had carried his entire life. For a moment, silence fell. Everyone watched as he walked up to the gate, placed the key into the old rusty lock, and turned it. With a heavy creak, the lock gave way, and the door swung open. The crowd gasped. Relief washed over them like a wave. One by one, families rushed inside, safe from the raging storm. The old man stood at the door, making sure every last person entered before stepping in himself. Asterisk, that night, the people finally understood. The key was never useless. It was never just a silly habit. That key had been guarding the very door that would save them all. And the man who had carried it, silently mocked and misunderstood, turned out to be the one who prepared for the day no one else saw coming. Asterisk. When the storm passed and the sun rose the next morning, the town looked at the old man differently. They no longer saw him as foolish. They saw him as wise, patient, and faithful. He had carried that key not just for himself but for them all, waiting for the moment when it would matter. And when that moment arrived, he was ready. He didn't brag. He didn't boast. He didn't say, "I told you so." He simply smiled, as if everything had unfolded exactly as it was meant to. Asterisk, the lesson stayed with them long after the storm was gone. They realized that in life, everyone carries their own key. It might not be made of iron. It could be a talent, a skill, a dream, or even a passion that others don't understand. People might laugh at you. They might question you. They might even call you foolish for holding on to something they cannot see the value of. But the truth is, every key has its door, and every door has its time. Just because your time hasn't come yet doesn't mean it never will. Just because others cannot see the purpose doesn't mean there isn't one. Asterisk, the old man became a symbol for them, a reminder to never give up on what you carry inside. A reminder that when the right moment arrives, the world will finally see the value of what you've been protecting all along. And perhaps the greatest wisdom he left behind was not the key itself, but the patience to believe that one day, the door would appear. So the next time someone mocks your dream, remember the man with the key. The world might not understand now, but when your door finally comes, when your moment arrives, you'll be ready to unlock it.